Hi, Tom Ducan here with another video tutorial. In this one, I'm going to show you how to add HTMX to your Django templates. HTMX is pretty awesome, as we'll see. It allows you to write a load of functionality to your Django template in ridiculously low number of code. I think I did 2.5 words, 16 characters in this article, which will be going along. So let's get into it. We can do it in 90 seconds, I think, less. I've set up the app sim, you could call that whatever you want, in a new Django and create a new Django folder. Make sure you added installed app sim or whatever you call your app. And let's begin. So we've got our views here in sim, and then we'll copy this in there. And then we're going to create add our URL roots. And so you need to create a URLs file here in your urls.py and copy this over. And we'll need to import our path, which I will get from my base layer Django site. There we go. And now we're going to add our, so this means these are the URLs, and then the person visits example.com, then that example, and then that routes to example here, runs a template, which we will now add. So let's add a templates folder. I've already got one there. Let's just delete that to show you what it would be like at the start. Templates, and now we'll create a new HTML folder file, and we'll call it example. That's necessary to call it that, and then that's the default, and I'll just copy this in. And so now let's run the server and visit. We need to go to the correct site. For me, that's sim example. There you go. And now let's add something in at .com. Boom, you're done. I don't know how long that took. It was extremely fast. You can see that that's our middleware token for security. You need that, and that's what we put in here. So just to run you through what's happening, these are the only lines, that's the only text you add for HTMX, plus this CDN to import it, but just those arguably 2 words. That's it. And so what's going to happen is here we're into our form, and our token, text, color, etc. I'm going to change it to a different color, and then that when we click submit, that then sends the form to HTMX to this sample.post, which is here. We then print that out, and then we can do whatever we want with the data that the user has sent, and then we render, if it's successful, we render this HTML. HTMX returns HTML, which might sound a bit odd, but it's actually a really nice way of doing things. It's very controlled and allows you to test everything really well on the back end. It's actually much nicer than using JSON in many ways, or other data things which typical JavaScript frameworks use. So this allows you to add JavaScript without having to write any JavaScript. So awesome. Let's carry on. And let's add a bonus to make it even more Django. But as you can see, it's ridiculously fast to do. And let's add in forms, which is going to add some validation. So we'll add in our form here, forms.py, we'll keep that in. And then we can update our view here, just copy it in. And you can see here we're now loading in this form. And we're going to check that the name has a min length of 3. If not, we'll return an error. And so that puts in all the requests and all the data into your sample form. Then does the validation based on what you've defined here, and then other things in the Django form, which you can click on there to check out if you'd like, but not necessary. And then if you're successful, return that. If not, here. And so now let's add in a new sample, and boom, you can see again but it hasn't been successful because we had 3 characters. If we put in another third, then there we go. Strongly recommend HTMX. Hope you enjoyed that. Check out my product here if you like it. It's about how to build Django frontends entirely visually and much faster. Building it at the moment. And all the best to you.